This is exactly right.
The best time to think about home security is before you need it.
That's exactly why there's Simply Safe.
Traditional home security only alerts you after a break-in has already happened, and that's too late. Simply Safe is changing that.
Simply Safe's US-based live agents identify threats on your property and help deter them so intruders never get to your house.
The system is customizable so you can build one that fits your home and your specific needs.
The 24/7 professional monitoring is effective and affordable and won't lock you into a long-term contract.
I think that's what's so scary for so many people is that long-term contract. And like, what if it turns out you don't like it or need it, but they don't have that because they know you'll like it and you'll know that you need it and feel so much safer when you have it. Like at this point in my life, I would never go without a security system on my house. I just feel safer with actually having Simply Safe around.
There's a whole staff at Simply Safe that's waiting to talk to you and help you out. Right now, you can get 50% off your new system by visiting simplysafe.com/MFM.
That's half off at simplysafe.com/MFM.
There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Goodbye.
Get into the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event and get away with a deal so right, it almost feels wrong.
Right now, you can get great deals on Hyundai's most popular models,
including the adventure-ready SUVs like the Hyundai Santa Fe or Santa Fe Hybrid and the Tucson or Tucson Hybrid.
Plus, there's the bold and stylish Elantra loaded with the latest tech.
Or go all-electric with the Ioniq 5 or the Ioniq 9.
So get down to your local Hyundai dealer and get away with a deal you'll love during the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event.
Visit HyundaiUSA.com for details.
Goodbye. Capture your favorite summer feeling with Pandora Jewelry.
Discover a collection inspired by the sunshine, freedom, and moments that make the season unforgettable.
From sun-kissed metals to personalized pieces ready to be engraved with your summer mantra.
Each design moves with you from beach days to golden nights and every memory in between.
Shop Pandora Jewelry's new summer collection in-store or online at pandora.net and let your summer unfold. Goodbye.
Hello. And welcome
to My Favorite Murder
Celebrity Hometown version.
That's right. We asked our friends that are famous and celebrities to talk to us and give us their hometown as a special year-end treat for all our Murderino friends out there.
We know that regular hometowns are fun, but how about we mix in a little high-level fame?
Yeah.
That's what George and I were thinking.
That's what everyone wants. And today we have a very, very familiar voice to everyone out there that we get really excited when we hear too. It's our friend from Dateline, Josh Mankiewicz.
Woo!
Woo-hoo! Let's hear that voice.
Stay sexy, don't get murdered.
Yes, right off the bat. I love it.
Josh, Dateline has been on for 30 years this year.
Yeah.
Crazy.
How is that possible?
This is our 30th season. I joined in 1995, so I'm, kind of a newcomer.
You're the new kid on the block.
Yeah. I've only been here 26 years, so, look, in TV, nothing lasts 30 seasons.
No.
Monday Night Football, Meet the Press. Not a lot, 60 minutes. So when I joined, I certainly didn't think I was going to be here 30 seasons later, but I am, and it's been great.
You must love what you do. We love what you do, so hopefully you love what you do.
No, I love it. I definitely do. It's been wonderful.
Were you shocked at this, kind of true crime wave that has happened recently? What's that been like for you guys who have been around the whole time?
I was completely blindsided by it. It, for the first 10 years that I was at Dateline, from 1995 to 2005, we weren't doing true crime, and we were doing all kinds of stories, like 5 or even 6 unrelated stories within the hour, all kinds of things, and that was fun. And then around 2005, 2006, we started making the turn to doing single subject hours, and a lot of them were true crime. And originally, when they first started talking about it, I wasn't interested in it.
Really?
I didn't really want to do that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because my feeling was the police beat is like the thing you do at the beginning of your career.
Mm-hmm.
And I had done that. I covered a lot of cop stories when I was young. But I could also tell that this was sort of the direction that Dateline was going in, which was that we were going to start doing more of this stuff. And David Corvo, our executive producer, who was kind of behind this move, I could tell he really this was where we were going, and he thought this was really going to help us. And he also thought there was an audience out there for it, which he turned out to be completely correct about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I did the first one, which was about the disappearance and then subsequent murder of Breonna Dennison in Reno. And, I sort of realized what everybody else who's covered this, eventually realizes. I mean, the things I liked about that story were the things I liked about every story, which is that, writing is writing, reporting is reporting, and there's a real important story to be told there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I sort of got hooked, just the same way the audience did. And now I'm really glad that we've been doing it this long. It's been great.
Yeah.
You guys give a voice to the families of the victims, which I think is so important.
I'm still in touch with her mom.
Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah.
I have seen you interview people who seem to be involved, but are the kind of people who will be interviewed on television to say they're not, and then watch you make the face at them.
Yeah.
Sitting in a prison, interview room.
Yeah, I suppose I should try to be a little more opaque when I'm interviewing those people. But,
No, we're all feeling it.
but I'm not good at it. It's not like I'm doing facial isometrics before the interview,
No.
thinking all I'm going to do is this, But
Yeah.
I mean, look, my feeling is that, I was a political reporter for a long time before joining Dateline, and covering politics and covering crime, there are a lot of things in common, which is that, the person you're interviewing, the murderer who's telling you, this isn't me, this isn't possible, I couldn't do that, I would never do that, and here's why it couldn't have happened. That's not terribly different from a candidate for public office explaining to you why you should vote for them and why their opponent is, a lying scoundrel.
They're going to change the world. Oh,
Right.
yeah.
And so, and that doesn't, and in both cases, you let them roll out their spiel. This is what I think. This is why I'm going to make the tax base better. And this is also why the fact that I was found covered in blood and didn't have an alibi, that doesn't mean anything.
Yep.
And, in both cases, you let them say what they want to say. And in both cases, you have to poke holes in it. And I suppose that when I was covering politics, I also probably had that face. Nobody talked about it, but I probably was doing the same thing. Yeah.
Man, I bet you've been in a room with a lot of sociopaths.
Yes.
Maybe more than most people ever.
Yes,
will
between
be.
politics and murder stories.
Yeah.
Good God, yes.
Yeah, they attract some of the same types of people.
Do you get a feeling?
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah. Do you get a feeling when you walk in the room? Or is there is there a tell? We all want to know, how can we spot it in the wild,
Well, I mean, so many politicians are, liars in one way or another. And particularly when they're accused of something, not just running, but they are, alleged to have done something wrong or something improper. And those interviews are not terribly different from the ones we do on Dateline with the defendants.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. But, in both cases, I mean, the rules are the same. They get to say what they want to say, and we get to poke some holes in that. And that's the fun of both those jobs.
Yeah.
Is there a number, a small amount of those convicted that you actually believed didn't do it, or is it kind of across the board?
No, there are a couple of people, and because I have covered these stories and I need to, I may need to cover them again. I'm not going to say who it is, but over the years, I'm going to say there are, when I say handful, I mean literally a handful, probably less than 5 defendants who I've thought I could not have voted to convict this person.
Wow.
That doesn't happen very often because usually by the time people get into court for that trial, there's some significant evidence against them.
Yeah.
But there are a couple of cases, and the thing that The thing that connects those defendants, I would say, is that they are unlikable people, and that is that either they are unlikable or their conduct is particularly unlikable. And when juries start disliking you because you cheated on your wife or you always spoke to her in an insulting, demeaning manner, that kind of thing sometimes can overwhelm or be just as important as the actual forensic or literal or eyewitness evidence against you. And so in some cases, the people who were convicted that I thought, I'm not sure, were guys who had done something unlikable. And the jury, I thought, kind of voted as much on that as they did on the evidence. But, whichever way it goes, that's the story we do. And, we certainly we're going to mention all of that. But, I don't get a vote. The jury does. And as we know from all the stories that you guys have done and that we have done, the jury doesn't always hear everything.
Yeah.
My stance from here on out as a politician is that Josh Mankiewicz should be the sole judge and jury for every trial. You should get a say, is what I'm saying.
That's an interesting thought. Yeah.
It's just you and Keith Morrison up there on in that judge's
just
bench.
The two of us. Yeah.
Just look, we know this stuff.
Yes. Yes.
Interview me. Wow, that's fascinating.
Keith would say, I find you guilty, or do I?
And I'm going to lean on it.
Yeah.
Buying clothes is easy. That's why everyone's always doing it.
But finding clothes you actually want to wear is the hard part.
Get all your favorite elevated essentials at Quince.
Quince specializes in effortless, high-quality essentials like ultra-soft organic cotton and premium Mongolian cashmere sweaters. They're beautifully tailored and built to last. And it's not just apparel. Quince also brings that same everyday elevation to everything they offer, from hotel-quality bedding and bath to kitchen staples, essentials, and thoughtfully designed furniture.
They work directly with ethical factories, so you're paying for quality, not brand markup.
It's so true that they have wonderful items that aren't just clothes. I have 3 of their 100% mulberry silk pillowcases. I've bought throws from there. I've bought bedding from there. And it is just as great quality as their clothes and super affordable.
Upgrade your everyday.
Download the Quince app for app-exclusive offers or go to quince.com/MFM. Get free shipping on your order and 365-day returns.
Now available in Canada and the UK too.
QUINCE.com/MFM.
Goodbye.
Get into the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event and get away with a deal so right, it almost feels wrong.
Right now, you can get great deals on Hyundai's most popular models, from hybrids to EVs and more.
Score on the adventure-ready SUVs like the Hyundai Kona, Tucson, Santa Fe, or Palisade, or the bold and tech-inspired Elantra.
And the most advanced and capable Sonata or Sonata Hybrid yet. Or go all-electric with the Ioniq 5 or Ioniq 9.
But getting away with a great deal is just the beginning, because every new Hyundai is backed by America's best warranty.
Which means you can shop with confidence and drive with unrivaled peace of mind.
So get down to your local Hyundai dealer and get away with a deal you'll truly love, but don't wait.
The Hyundai Getaway Sales Event won't be around for long.
Visit HyundaiUSA.com now for details.
Goodbye. This episode is supported by FX's The Shards, a seductive drama from executive producer Ryan Murphy.
Set in 1980s Los Angeles, the series follows a group of glamorous, deeply entangled high school seniors drawn into a life of wealth, beauty, parties, and excess.
At its center is Brett, whose reality begins to unravel when the arrival of a new student coincides with a series of mysterious murders.
FX's The Shards premieres August 5th on FX and Hulu.
Goodbye.
Well, on that note,
Sure.
now we're kind of in the mood, in the spooky mood of crimes and stuff. Do you want to tell us whatever it is your hometown is? But it could be, it's a really loose term these days.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the story first interested you or whatever it is.
Well, the story that first got me interested in true crime, and it carried me for a number of years and in ways which I'll explain, was essentially, well, I don't know. You might call it a cold case. No one was ever put on trial. The supposed killer died before trial ever began. The person who killed the supposed killer never made it to trial. And this has remained probably the biggest mystery, the biggest murder mystery of my lifetime. It's the assassination of President Kennedy in 1963.
Mm-hmm.
I was 7 years old. we were living in Peru because my dad, who'd worked for President Kennedy in 1960 and had then been appointed director of the Peace Corps in Peru, the inaugural class there, we were living in South America. And we were not even home in Lima, Peru at the time. We were up in the mountains in a town called Arequipa. And that's significant because Arequipa, I believe, didn't have the capability, or at least where we were, didn't have the capability to make an international phone call. So the information that we were getting that day was coming from a shortwave radio. I very distinctly remember people clustered around like a ham radio. They were calling Lima trying to get more information because, like, you know, what you would do right now is you'd fire up the internet. But even back in the 1960s, you know, you'd call somebody in the United States and say, what's on TV? What is, and we didn't even have that. So it was, information came out very slowly, but it was the first time I ever saw my dad cry. I'll never forget that. And of course, it was the beginning of this giant mystery. The Warren Commission sort of officially investigated it in 1964 and came to the conclusion that Lee Harvey Oswald had done this and he acted alone. And almost instantly, the official version was challenged by a number of people who seemed to know what they were talking about. And I remember reading about that in the newspapers in the mid-'60s as the criticisms of the Warren Commission began and started growing. Now, the interesting thing about this is that a lot of today's conspiracies, you know, the government is poisoning us with the chemtrails from the planes. Bill Gates is, charting our movements from the COVID vaccine. The election was rigged. A lot of that crazy stuff has its roots in the Kennedy assassination, not in that story, but in that perception that sort of took hold in the 1960s that the government's not telling you the truth, that there are secrets out there that are being concealed from you. I'm not a big conspiracy guy, but, and in fact, I can't think of too many other conspiracy theories that I do believe, but the official version of the Kennedy assassination sort of never made sense to me, the way it never did to a lot of other people. Now, I kept brushing up against this story in my life. Not only did I read a lot about it at the time, I remember devouring William Manchester's book about President Kennedy's life, or his presidency, called 1,000 Days. But when I went to college, I went to Haverford College outside of Philadelphia, and one of my professors there was a guy named Josiah Thompson. I obviously didn't know this when I went to college. He'd written a book. He was one of the original Warren Commission critics, and he'd written a book called 6 Seconds in Dallas, which you can still find, which, by the way, is a great book. And he talked a lot about sort of how the official version of events didn't make sense and why. And I'm not going to bore you with getting into the minutia of this, but it's because it's easily possible to spend 3, 4, 5 hours talking about the nuts and bolts of the different theories or what's wrong with the official explanation. But I remember thinking, wow, once again, I'm hearing about this and I'm thinking about this and reading Professor Thompson's book and talking with him. And then after I got out of college, I went to work for ABC News. And one of my early jobs was I was covering Capitol Hill for them behind the camera as what's called an off-air reporter. And as part of that, I covered the House Select Committee on Assassinations, which was established in 1976 and which finally issued its report in 1979 after some lengthy and very well-publicized hearings about both the King assassination and the JFK assassination. And the committee was all set to sort of, in some ways, ratify the commission, the Warren Commission, by saying it looked like it was just one guy, when they got this very persuasive audio testimony, sort of forensic audio analysis by these two guys who came in, who analyzed a tape that was made of the police radio transmissions at the moment that the shots were being fired in Dealey Plaza. And they were pretty persuasive. Now, anybody listening to this who knows about this is also going to know that those findings were called into question later by other analysts. This has been a long time. This story has, as I say, you could take 1,000 days to tell this story. So I'm aware of the criticism of that, but I will tell you that when I heard that, it was pretty persuasive. And there were certain things about the official version that never made any sense. The so-called single bullet theory, the idea that Oswald fired a shot that went through President Kennedy and then went through Governor Connolly and, like broke a rib and shattered his wrist and then lodged in his thigh and then somehow rolled off of a stretcher in Parkland Hospital a couple hours later. And it's just about pristine. It's a very good firearms analysis match to the mail order gun that Mr. Oswald bought to shoot the president with. So it's a perfect match back to that gun. And it's one reason why it's a big underpinning of the theory that Mr. Oswald did it and he acted alone. It's very hard to replicate a bullet that pristine having gone through two people. Because frequently in Dateline and lots of other cases, police can't get a firearms analysis match from a bullet that's been fired into a person because it's too mashed up. So they rely on other ways of doing it. So that always, I thought a lot about that over the years. And sort of the more I knew about, forensic analysis, the more I sort of did that kind of work, it reminded me of that. And then there's one more thing. After he left the Peace Corps, my dad went to work for Robert Kennedy. He was Bobby's press secretary from 1966 until the minute he was killed in June of 1968. And lots of people, as you might imagine, came to Bobby Kennedy with their own theories, some of which were crazy, some of which were probably not crazy, some of which seemed to have some validity to them. And they all said, I know what happened and I want to help you out. And here's what I'm pretty sure I know what happened to your brother, or I know who was waiting for him there in Dallas. And Bobby Kennedy did not want to deal with any of those people.
I bet.
And so he appointed someone on his staff to sort of act as the catch-all for all of that information, talk to those people. And that person was my dad.
Wow.
And so
really?
And so these assassination theorists, some of whom were nuts and some of whom were not, came over to our house. I remember a guy came over to our house once and he had giant grainy blow-ups of the area around what's called the Grassy Knoll in Dallas, which was an area where a lot of people thought they heard gunshots. And he had these photographs of that area at that time, so big you could sort of see the pixels in the frame. And he carried one of these giant photos across the street and set it up on our neighbor's lawn across the street. And we all stood in the living room and he's like, "So what do you see?" He yelled at us from across the street. And what you saw very clearly was a guy with a gun or a tree branch, depending on where you sit.
Right.
But I mean, did he have something there? Yeah, he had something that was certainly plausible. And there were a lot of these people over the years that came by and had all kinds of interesting different theories. So when I covered the House Assassinations Committee and they came up with the conclusion at the end of their hearings that the president was killed by more than one shooter and that there was some kind of conspiracy, they didn't know what it was. They just said it wasn't the Soviet government. They said they didn't think it was the Cuban government. They left open the possibility that it might have been organized crime, but they basically said they weren't sure, except they were confident that the official version wasn't correct. And then later, of course, it's turned out, now we're going down the road some years later, it's turned out that the CIA and the FBI were not in any way cooperative with either the original investigation by the Warren Commission or by the subsequent investigation by the House Assassinations Committee. As you might expect from the CIA and FBI, they held a lot back. And what was that? We don't know. Some of those records from the Assassinations Committee haven't been looked at, and I think are sealed for like 50 years or something. But that remains an enduring mystery, and I kept brushing up against it again and again and again, through my dad and then at college and then with my first job covering Capitol Hill. So, I was already interested in it, and then I ended up sort of learning more and more about it just because it was, it was always right there in front of me. And so when I started covering true crime all those years ago, that was kind of a good fit with all of that.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the ultimate hometown, really, because
Right.
It was, in a lot of ways, for people back then, it was everyone's hometown. That, this kind of complete reality shift for everyone alive in America all Americans that basically went through something that was unimaginable like that. And then to just be in a place where you would be entertaining what the possible truths of it were, or like what the facts.
One of the enduring theories of the JFK assassination was that there was a guy with an umbrella who carried an umbrella in Dealey Plaza on a sunny day. Yeah. And he puts up the umbrella, which was seen to many as, some kind of signal, like, here we go, commence firing. And the Assassinations Committee, I thought, did a very good job. They found that guy, and all these years later, and they brought him in, and he talked about what he'd been doing, which had nothing to do with any assassinations plot. He was, it was supposed to be a symbol of, I believe, Neville Chamberlain. He was accusing Kennedy of appeasement in the same way that Neville Chamberlain, I think, had been accused of being soft on Nazi Germany and the Axis powers. And the umbrella was meant to evoke Chamberlain, as I recall. So it turned out that it wasn't anything, but it was a great piece of history just to have debunked right in front of my eyes there in a House hearing room.
They never found the woman in the scarf. Is that right? There's a woman in a scarf in the
in like a headscarf like that?
Yeah, in the Zapruder films, and they never found her.
Right. Well, the Zapruder film, first of all, today, like somebody takes a shot at the president. Like, you're not going to need a haberdasher, which is what Abe Zapruder was, to provide a record of history. Like, every network's going to be there. There's going to be all this security footage from all the cameras around, and everybody in the crowd's going to be on their iPhone.
Right.
You have too much video. But the idea that, like, then there's no record of this incredibly important event in American history except a guy who happened to take a home movie.
There could have been none if he hadn't just happened to.
Could easily have been none. Yeah.
But wait, was that the standard back then, that like if the president was there, like kind of that no news stations would have gone down to get it?
No. But the idea that like they would have been recording all the way through the motorcade, that didn't happen then.
Got it.
Back then, sure, there were press with him. There was traveling press with him, but the press bus was all the way at the end of the motorcade. And there were crews there, TV crews, but they would have had film cameras just like Mr. Zapruder had, maybe a little better than his. And there were crews set up at the Trade Mart where the president was going. So, there was a lot of coverage back then of sort of scheduled events, like the president's speech to the Trade Mart that afternoon. But there wasn't a lot of coverage of, we want to be rolling just in case what might happen. And, you go forward in history. Look at all the videotape there is of the Reagan attempted assassination. Right. But before that, there's video of both Sarah Jane Moore and Squeaky Fromme taking shots at or trying to take shots at President Ford. You didn't have to rely on, there's news film of that. You didn't have to rely on citizens taking home movies.
Yeah.
So you must have, and maybe it changes all the time, but you must have your own pet theory that you love. As to what I really think happened, the official explanation, for reasons which I was talking about earlier, of the single bullet theory, that never made any sense. Mm-mm. And to believe that, you have to believe things just because you want to believe them. You have to believe that Governor Connolly was shot, but he doesn't show any reaction to it for a little while.
Yeah.
He's shot with the same bullet, but you don't see him react in time. You have to believe there was a delayed reaction. When people turn and look at the stockade fence, the grassy knoll, you have to believe that Dealey Plaza is an acoustical freak, and that they were looking at that because of the echoes, not because they actually heard gunshots coming from right over their shoulder. Mm. So for those reasons alone, I was sort of, kind of discounted the official explanation. You also have to believe that, Jack Ruby, this creep of a guy, who, owned a strip club and used his sort of, the fact that a lot of cops in Dallas knew him, used that to sort of get into the area where Oswald was being transferred. The Jack Ruby, this guy who'd never had a moral thought in his entire life, was suddenly so outraged at what happened to President Kennedy that because he felt bad for Jackie Kennedy, I think is what he said, that he wanted to kill the man who had killed the president. And he happened to just have terminal cancer. That always seemed like too easy to me in the same way that bullet rolling off the stretcher seemed too easy.
Mm-hmm.
But what was really going on, I do not pretend to know. I don't. Is it possible that it was organized crime? Yeah, it's possible. Is it possible that it was, anti-Castro Cubans who thought that Kennedy was moving in the wrong direction? Sure. But could it be neither one of those things? It could be. But the only thing I've been convinced about over the years is that the official story wasn't the correct story.
Yeah.
Do you think that Oswald was a patsy, or do you think he actually was involved, but under someone else's command?
It strikes me as unlikely that he had no involvement at all, or that he was framed for this. I mean, he said he was a patsy early on. I'm being set up. I'm a patsy, he said, around the time he was arrested. Also, imagine today letting the guy who's been accused of killing the president, 24 hours earlier, give a press conference, even a little brief one in the police station. I just don't see that happening.
Oh.
But yeah, I was he involved in some way? Yes, I think he probably was involved in some way.
Okay.
Exactly what way, I don't know. And his background, his history is so weird and so murky. And it may well be the reason why the CIA doesn't want to say anything about, or wasn't as forthcoming as they should have been with both the Warren Commission and the House Committee, because they'd had some interactions with him previously. I don't know. But I think he probably had something to do with it. Yes.
Very interesting. Wow.
This could be a 1,000 days podcast.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it
easily.
really is fascinating.
Or you need to write a book about this.
Yes.
I would read this immediately.
Yeah.
Well, all right. I feel like there's probably enough books written about this, but
one more.
But
there've got to be 50 of them, right? I mean,
Yes.
come on.
Well, I want to read the one you mentioned that your professor wrote. That sounds...
Yes, 6 Seconds in Dallas. Very
That
good.
sounds cool.
I bought it on Amazon a couple of years ago because I'd lost my original copy, but yeah, it's still out there.
Right.
Yeah, that sounds amazing.
Josiah
Wow.
Thompson is the author. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, great one.
Yeah.
Great hometown.
That was killer. Great
Pretty
job.
major. We're not surprised.
No.
This is very Josh Mankiewicz of you to
Yes.
have that as your hometown.
I know. It really is.
Yeah, it is.
I thought about which crime I was going to talk about. I did. And I thought about some crimes actually that I covered when I was in local news in Washington, D.C. and then later when I was Long Island correspondent in New York. But this won out. The Kennedy assassination won out. The Oliver Stone movie that came out, which was, not a documentary. I mean, it's a dramatic film. So, let's not take it as historical record. But the one thing about it that I just loved so much was the tagline, which was the story that won't go away, which is what this is. It's what it's always been. And for people of a certain age, my age, it's the story that won't go away.
And it does make sense that because so many people went through trauma like that, it's very easy to convince people the government's against you, that kind of idea of
they're all lying to you. And I mean, it wasn't long after that that the right wing in this country began this, now more than 50-year campaign against academics, against truth, against knowledge, against journalists, against teachers, against scientists. They're all lying to you. Well, the reason that those arguments work is that a lot of people of all political stripes really did think the government was lying to them starting in 1964.
Yeah.
Wow.
With good reason. Yeah.
That's a fascinating take. Man, Josh, thank you so much.
Thank you both.
I really
Thank you
could talk
both.
about
Thanks for
this
having
forever.
me.
Oh my God. Everyone make sure, of course, to watch Dateline Fridays, 9/8 Central and NBC, and check out all of Josh's. Oh, what are you on Twitter? You're at Josh Mankiewicz?
At Josh Mankiewicz, yes.
Yeah.
He's the best. He's my favorite follow on Twitter.
I know. I
You're
love
the
it.
best.
Just some pretty consistent good times, but then there's also the hard-hitting information that I personally need. That I'm like, ooh, I'm going to read that article.
Thank you. I mean, I would say, well, thank you. Thank you. Yes, I do both. I do both.
You do.
Both hard-hitting and although lately it seems like the amusing, the hard-hitting stuff's about as hard to find as a dress with pockets, if you know what I mean. And I think you do. Hey, come on now.
Always got to be on the search for that.
Yeah, always. But it's, Twitter's a lot of fun. I didn't want to do Twitter either. NBC talked me into that. It turned out to be fun.
Glad they did. We thank NBC for that because, and also every once in a while you just kind of rib Keith Morrison or people will write something about to Dateline. Please don't ever do this. And then Josh comes in with like, don't worry about it. We're, Keith will be on the case forever or whatever.
So much fun. Yeah.
It's great. It's great. And it brought, we're just happy you're in our world because we're very honored that you hang out with us sometimes.
Totally.
Thank you so much. It's been great. Great to see you both.
You too. I still wear my Dateline hat that you gave us at the live show. Proudly wear it.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank
Represent.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you for representing.
Yeah. Thank you for being here on our Celebrity Hometown Edition.
Josh Mankiewicz.
Josh Mankiewicz, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Elvis, do you want a cookie?
This has been an Exactly Right production.
Our producer is Hannah Kyle Crichton.
Our associate producer is Alejandra Keck.
Engineered and mixed by Andrew Even.
Send us your hometowns at myfavoritemurder@gmail.com.
Follow the show on Instagram and Facebook at myfavoritemurder and Twitter at myfavemurder.
For more information about the podcast, live shows, merch, or to join the fan cult, go to myfavoritemurder.com.
And please rate, review, and subscribe. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
The best time to think about home security is before you need it.
That's exactly why there's Simply Safe.
Traditional home security only alerts you after a break-in has already happened, and that's too late. Simply Safe is changing that.
Simply Safe's US-based live agents identify threats on your property and help deter them so intruders never get to your house.
The system is customizable so you can build one that fits your home and your specific needs.
The 24/7 professional monitoring is effective and affordable and won't lock you into a long-term contract.
I think that's what's so scary for so many people is that long-term contract. And like, what if it turns out you don't like it or need it, but they don't have that because they know you'll like it and you'll know that you need it and feel so much safer when you have it. Like at this point in my life, I would never go without a security system on my house. I just feel safer with actually having Simply Safe around.
There's a whole staff at Simply Safe that's waiting to talk to you and help you out. Right now, you can get 50% off your new system by visiting simplysafe.com/MFM.
That's half off at simplysafe.com/MFM.
There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Goodbye.
Hello, beautiful. I'm Amy Arrett, founder of Madison Reed, a hair color company I named after my daughter. I started Madison Reed because I believe women deserve better. Better ingredients, better results, and the freedom to color on your terms. Color at home with our permanent hair color kit in less time and for less than a typical salon. It's a salon in a box for rich dimensional color and 100% gray coverage. Try our 10-minute root touch-up kit for a permanent root refresh, or our hair and brow mascara to cover stray grays on the go. Or visit one of our 95+ hair color bars nationwide and let our licensed pro colorist color your hair for you. Visit madison-reed.com and join more than 5 million women who've made the switch to our award-winning color. Confident, bold, unstoppable. That's the power of Madison Reed.
This may surprise you, but clothes that feel good and look good don't have to be mutually exclusive.
Designs that make you feel as good as you look is what Hill House is known for.
Hill House Home invented the viral nap dress.
Hill House makes fun, versatile fashion that elevates your look. I now own 3 nap dresses. I love them. They're so comfy and cute. Pockets for days. You know, get 15% off your first order of $100 or more at hillhousehome.com with code MFM15.
That's MFM15 for 15% off at hillhousehome.com.
Goodbye.